Continuing on from my previous video where I delved into the story of one of Batman's most nefarious foes, Ra's al Ghul, this week I'm shining the spotlight on Raz's daughter, Talia Al Ghul. 3 words come to mind when I think of Talia: beautiful, loyal, and deadly. Talia Al Ghul is one of the most authentic representations of a comic book character in Batman the Animated Series, along with her father, Heir. Before covering her episodes for the show, let's first look at her comic book appearances and how they would go on to inspire her animated counterpart. Talia Al Ghul would be introduced in 1971's Detective Comics 411. In this issue, we're introduced to the villainous Dr. Dark and his beautiful companion Talia. Batman has been pursuing Dark as he believes him to be the leader of the League of Assassins, a terrorist group that have been responsible for a series of murders. Batman is told of Dark's location and that he will soon be boarding the Soom Express in Asia. Batman disguises himself as an elderly woman and attempts to arrest Dark, but is set upon by the League of Assassins. When Batman comes to, he finds himself unmasked and being attended to by Talia, who feels like she recognises him but is uncertain because of the bruising to his face. We learn that Talia is being held hostage by Dark after he had fallen out with her father, the great Ra's al Ghul. Note that the comics clearly says that his name is Arabic for the demon's head, and that's how you pronounce those words in Arabic. Raish, his name in the animated series, is the Hebrew pronunciation. Batman and Talia team up to try to escape from Dark, and the battle culminates in Talia shooting Dark in order to save Batman. Batman comforts Talia as she weeps. After all, she's but a poor, delicate flower, incapable of ever thinking about ending a life, right? Pull the other one. The next time we see Talia, she appears to have been kidnapped by an enemy of Raz's once again, along with Robin. Raz visits the Batcave, catching Batman off guard, and asks for his help recovering his beloved daughter. Of course, this is all a ruse to test Batman's worthiness as a mate for his daughter and heir to Raz's criminal empire. While he is attracted to Talia, I mean, come on, who wouldn't be, Batman rejects the offer and thus makes an enemy of Raz. When Batman and Raz have their famous sword fight stripped to the waist, Batman is felled by a scorpion sting. It is Talia that saves Batman by delivering the antidote through a kiss, and ultimately leads to her father's capture. However, when Raz decides to escape from prison, Talia joins her father in framing Batman for their murders, using a gun that is capable of firing on its own. Talia shows herself to be quite a capable fighter in the story as she dons a red bodysuit and mask to hide her identity from Batman. While Batman is able to eventually prove his innocence, that doesn't deter Raz and Talia from trying to bring him into the fold once more. I think the fact that Batman keeps defeating the Al Ghuls makes them want him even more. It just proves that he's the only person capable of fulfilling their mission, of saving the Earth from the scourge of humanity. When Batman pursues Kathy Kane's murderers, the Sensei and Ra's al Ghul, it is Talia that drugs Batman and drags him to safety before their complex is destroyed by an earthquake. Talia shows little concern for her father's well-being, simply stating that she doesn't know if he's really dead or not, but I suppose that's to be expected when your father is several hundred years old and has evaded death dozens of times. While Batman and Talia would hobble off into the sunset, eventually Ra's al Ghul would reappear, but once again, Talia would revert to supporting her father. When Raz drugged Batman and married him to Talia, apparently in their culture you only need the bride's consent for a marriage to be considered binding, Batman would still reject their ways and try to bring Raz down. It was later revealed that part of why Talia was so loyal to her father, despite not agreeing with some of his methods, was because he was providing her with treatment that kept her looking youthful. At the time, it was revealed that Talia was over 150 years old, and without her father's help, she would rapidly deteriorate. As an aside, this part of her character would be scrapped following Crisis on Infinite Earths, when the majority of the continuity was rebooted. Talia would reveal that her father had met her mother at Woodstock, although the cause of her mother's death has changed over time. Initially, she was pushed into a Lazarus pit by a foe of Raz's. In more recent stories, she died of a drug overdose. With Raz seemingly meeting his end once and for all after his volcano base erupted, Talia pledged to wander the Earth and see what aging gracefully would be like. However, she would return periodically to help Batman when facing his toughest challenges, like Batman 400, where her father broke all of Batman's villains out of Arkham and sent them off to attack Batman and his allies. With the help of Talia and Catwoman and Robin, Batman would defeat Raz, flinging him into the Lazarus pit while he was healthy, as his cave complex came crashing down around them, bringing an end to this era of Batman stories. Although 1 year later the graphic novel Son of the Demon was published, in this story we see Batman finally accepting Raz's offer to join his crusade, and he impregnates Talia. Towards the end of the story, Talia fakes a miscarriage and tells Batman to leave them alone, and we see their son being given up for adoption 9 months later. It's not really clear if this story is still in continuity, even though it was published after Crisis on Infinite Earths, but regardless, it's worth a read. Now this brings us to the 1990s, when Batman the Animated Series entered development. Talia makes her first appearance in Off Balance, which is a partial adaptation of Detective Comics 411. It shares the same interrogation scene atop the Statue of Freedom as Batman attempts to get information about the League of Shadows. because you can't say assassins on kids' TV. Likewise, Talia is present and she sees Batman's face after tending his wounds. But she's no damsel in distress. She's quite a capable fighter and could hold her own against Count Vertigo, a replacement for Dr. Dark. Unlike the original comic, Talia shows her true colours in this episode. She doesn't pretend to be shocked by violence, instead she turns on Batman at the last minute, taking the sonic weapon from him and delivering it to her father. Or she would have if Batman hadn't sabotaged it. Unlike the comics, we also get our first glimpse at Ra's al Ghul at the end of the episode. Talia would go on to appear in the two-part story The Demon's Quest, a pretty faithful adaptation of Ra's first comic book story. There are changes, of course. Ra's scheme is slightly different in that he wants to cause Lazarus pit sites across the planet to erupt and flood the world. Similarly, there's no scorpion sting or antidote delivered through a kiss. Instead, she delivers a lockpick through a kiss. Talia says that she supports her father's mission, but she just doesn't approve of his methods, and that's enough for Batman to let her go free. We see Talia in the episode Avatar, in which she is certain that her father survived the dunk in the Lazarus pit, and she sets out to find him. It transpires that, yes, Ra's is alive, but he has not forgiven his daughter for helping Batman defeat him. Talia would assist Batman in tracking Ra's, but when his life was endangered, she would betray Batman to regain her father's trust. Talia would next appear in the Superman episode The Demon Reborn, wearing a new black catsuit, acting as her father's loyal soldier. She steals a mystical artifact in transit to a museum in Metropolis and impersonates Lois Lane in order to get close to Superman before capturing him for her father. The artifact would be used to drain Superman's power and give it to her ailing father, who could no longer use the Lazarus pits. The power stolen from Superman turns Ra's into a hulking beast, with little or no regard for anyone that gets in his way, including Talia. Although when Ra's sees Talia about to fall to her potential death, he drops everything he was doing to try to save her, only to tumble into the waters below with her. Now, before I get to Talia's final DCAU appearance, I want to talk about some of the tie-in comics. There's some questions about how relevant these comics are, but I take the view that they're all canon unless they directly contradict something we see in the show, especially if they're written by somebody that wrote episodes for the shows. Batman Adventures 13 features a heartbreaking story in which Talia enlists Batman's help to recover a stolen statue of immense value. Their adventure finds them in Paris, where Bruce and Talia spend the day together. It's quite heartwarming to see them as young lovers, enjoying each other's company in the most romantic city on Earth. Of course, with it being Talia, all is not what it seems. The statue contained a microfilm with damaging information about her father on it, but Batman was aware there was more to the statue than Talia had disclosed. However, her motivations for keeping the information secret weren't to please her father. She just wanted to spend the day with Batman in Paris. So upset is she at the revelation that she simply drops the statue and walks away, leaving Batman alone in the rain. Talia makes an appearance in Batman Adventures Continues Season 3, Issues 6 through 8, where she and her father offer Bruce a way of saving the world from hunger, a genetically modified crop that can grow anywhere on Earth and can be manipulated into tasting like any food. Spoilers for this story are about to follow, so skip to the next chapter if you don't want to know more. It transpires that Ra's grain would render the Earth's population sterile within a few generations, although it would be possible for Ra's to determine who could breed and, most importantly, who could not. Only the worthy would be able to have children, and in controlled numbers. Of course, quite how they decide who is worthy and who isn't is an important question that is never resolved. Batman rejects this proposal outright. Talia would team up with Batman to defend him from the Talons, but after her father appeared to meet his end, she disappeared with the body. Is this the end of Ra's al Ghul? In a word, no. I'm actually a little surprised that this comic didn't end with a tease at Damian Wayne, the son of Talia and Bruce, seeing as Bruce and Talia got very close throughout the comic. But perhaps that would have been one tease too many. Instead, it's better that Batman and Robin head off into the sunset, or is that a sunrise, to close off this era of Batman. In terms of the canonical timeline, Talia would make her final appearance in the Batman Beyond episode Out of the Past, arguably one of the series' strongest episodes. The quick summary is that Talia appears suddenly in the Batcave on the elder Batman's birthday and offers him access to the Lazarus pits. She believes that it would be a crime for him to die of old age, when he could have his youth restored and continue to do good in the world. And Batman agrees. In this episode, we learn of the near apocalypse of 2009 and how Talia teamed up with Batman to stop Ra's. Talia has since spent her inherited fortune trying to clean up the mess her father created. It's never really divulged what happened, but in my headcanon it resulted in the destruction of much of Gotham City, hence its drastic redesign in the time of Batman Beyond. Perhaps a No Man's Land style earthquake? We'll probably never know. The twist in the episode comes after Batman has had his first dunk in the Lazarus Pit and is de-aged by about 40 years. With repeated dunks, the change will be permanent. However, we soon learn that Ra's al Ghul isn't quite as dead as we were made to believe. Ra's cheated death one final time by having his mind imprinted on Talia, effectively killing her and taking over her body. It's not clear if Talia offered her life up willingly, or if she was just erased as a form of punishment for teaming up with Batman to defeat Ra's. Either way, Ra's meets his ultimate end after he refuses to be saved from a fire by the two Batmen. Instead, he tries to save his mind-transferring technology, only to be caught in the explosion. It's a very sad, touching end to a conflicted woman. She was besotted with Batman and would do anything for him, even at the expense of her relationship with her father. But at the end of the day, she would always return to him. And it was an ironic way to die for a woman that had always been controlled by her father. As regular viewers would know, I'm a sucker for a sad story, and the ending to this episode is a real punch in the gut. Batman the Younger still thought there was a chance to save Ra's, while the elder Batman knew that whatever remained was neither Talia or Ra's. They both died a long time ago.
Rest well, beloved.
For Ra's, it was his devotion to his cause and his selfish refusal to let go that ultimately cost him his life and his daughters. For all his obsessing over persuading Batman to continue his legacy, he couldn't see that he already had a more than capable heir in Talia, and that's the real tragedy of her life. While Ra's and Batman have their similarities, Batman was never looking for an heir, but he found one in Terry McGinnis. Yeah, sure, they may have had their differences, and Batman could be difficult at times, but ultimately they developed a true father and son relationship, without knowing the events of Justice League Epilogue, and Terry was able to continue the mantle of the Bat in his own way, long after Bruce Wayne was gone. Talia and Ra's, however, would ultimately become nothing but ash.